Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? Let me know on audio, by the way. I do have music playing, so let me know if you can hear it. What's up, Kale? What's up, okay? Jahir, Ido, YouTube, who created YouTube? We got Susan Wojcicki in the chat. Well, kind of. What's up? Yes, I've been prepping. We have a tier list to make, boys and girls. What's up, Bobby Rich? Technological Elite. Pushin Mafia. Pushin. Cooler. What's up? Yeah. Alright, can you guys hear the music or what? Also, well, I guess I can't really change it now. I'll give you guys a real quick preview of what this is. So here's our tier list. I kept it concise. There's so many controversial things in tech, as you would think. Here's a list of what we're gonna be going over. Like quite a few. So we got like, you know, Activision, just being Activision. We got in gaming, we've got Overwatch 2. Obviously, there's gonna be sort of biased towards what I know about. Maybe not. Maybe you guys will know more, but I won't really be able to add stuff. You have to like confirm the tier list before you make it. So we're kind of, this is what we got. But obviously, it's gonna be things that I know about a little bit more. I probably won't even know them all the way in depth. I'm probably gonna need a little bit of help. And I just realized I forgot to put one on here. I forgot to put the Gigabyte one. I'm here to hate on time. All right, bruh. All right. Yeah, so yeah, we got everything from like Google Stadia to, obviously I've been talking about the Note 7 exploding, removing the headphone jack, which we shall start with. How does that sound? Do you guys... Let me see if I have one. You guys remember the last time you're able to use these funny little guys? Let's see if it'll focus. Come on. Yeah. These funny little guys without the stupid freaking adapter. Yeah. What was that? That was the iPhone 7? That was garbage. I think to this day, everybody who has a phone would rather have a headphone jack on this freaking phone. Okay? I think we can all agree on that. And making us, you know, buy adapters like this didn't help anybody. Okay? Obviously, Apple justified this by saying, oh yeah, it saves room inside of the phone. We can make the phone thinner. You don't need to put a preamp in it for the headphone jack, and you don't need the physical space to put a jack in there. I don't think that it was worth losing the convenience. I think most people would agree with that. But feel free to say otherwise in the comments, because like there's obviously, just like how when Apple took away the power brick from their new phones, I feel like there's always a secondary motive behind it. Taking away the power brick saves them money. They can put their phones in smaller boxes, which means it's easier to ship and stuff like that. And yeah, that saves them money on the back end, and in turn, I guess, makes them money. Same thing with the headphone jack. There's always ulterior motives. To this day, it's obvious. Around that time, right when they launched the iPhone 7, which took away the headphone jack, that's also when Apple released these funny little things. AirPods. And excuse how dirty my AirPods are. But yeah. Mr. Who's the Vex. But this is just, to this day, yes. I think most people will agree that AirPods and anything around it, that followed this like design trend, were obviously good products. Like Bluetooth headphones are really good nowadays. But would we still rather have the option to use these? You know what I mean? And on top of that, wired headphones sound better because they don't have to compress the audio. And to this day, the headphone jack. Right here. I think you guys might remember this video. Bing Chilling says, what phone do you have? I have an iPhone 12. I'm a phone review channel. I'm a headphone hater channel. That's it. That's my one thing. It's my one trick. So, where do we want to put this? Where do we want to put headphone jacks on this list? To this day, still sucks to not have them. And I'm leaning towards, so on this tier list, I should explain what this tier list is. At the top of it is the worst things. Like, this is like the worst tech related controversies that ever affected us as people. So those ones will be clear, I think. And then we've got scary, which is very worrying. And then frustrating towards us. So this affected us and it just makes our lives worse. But it doesn't necessarily, like, you could just ignore it or something like that if you wanted to. Annoying is like, annoying, obviously. And then the last one is just funny. This is like the drama, the controversies that we can just talk about. It doesn't really affect anybody, at least to a major degree. But it was funny. And there's definitely a lot of those things. Erica, do edit my videos, and just to this day, I will never buy an iPhone because they charge so much and they make stupid trends like taking away the headphone jack and taking away a charge. I hate that, dude. I hate it. I think, although it is frustrating, it wasn't scary, and it definitely isn't the worst thing to ever happen. I think taking away the headphone jack, as shitty as it feels, is probably just frustrating because it makes everything cost more. Bluetooth headphones cost more, or you have to use a stupid adapter. You can't charge your phone and use your headphones at the same time. It's really annoying, and I wish I had one. You think it's annoying? I would put it through frustrating. I could almost lean to scary because it completely changed the market. Like, you used to be able to buy headphones for 20 bucks, but really if you want a convenient pair of earbuds, it'd be like AirPods, and AirPods are like 100, at least for the cheap ones. So it really shifted the landscape. And what really sucks about Bluetooth headphones, yes, you could still technically use wired ones, but you have to use an adapter, and your adapter can break, you can lose your adapter, or, you know, it's just inconvenient. You can't charge at the same time. But what also sucks about AirPods is these things run on batteries. So not only did Apple make you pay more for their headphones, AirPods are currently the most popular headphones in the world. Batteries will also eventually go bad. So you will eventually have to replace this thing, whether you like it or not. I've had mine for about 3 years, and I still think the battery's pretty good, but I can notice a difference from when I first had them to now. But yeah. Wired autocomplete interview. I had to buy an adapter for $20. Yeah, and on top of that, buying an adapter for your headphones just costs even more. It is, because I had to buy like a pack of adapters too, and I think it cost around about 50 bucks. Not 50 bucks, no, that's too much. About 20 bucks, and it came in a pack of 3. But it's like another thing that you have to take into account. And yeah, And this could also go down to Apple specifically. Obviously, most other phone brands have followed this trend of not having a headphone jack, but Apple also has the stupid lightning port, which they are going to have to change soon. Second one. In gaming, we've got Activision. I was talking to Cameron, if you guys know Cameron, Yeston Enjoyer guy. Why the heck are you guys putting milk in the chat? Why is there milk? Why is there milk? Certified milk drinkers. So, I was talking to Cameron about this, and we're just like, yeah, Activision should just go in its own tier. It's just, well, not its own tier, but it feels like everything Activision touches, they ruin. Deleting System 32. I should do that right now. Is it because of yes? Oh my god, bro. I hope not. I hope not. Worst isn't enough, the Activision tier. If we add one more. Oh my god. Let's do it. Let's do it. Activision. Here we go, baby. Let's go. I was gonna make it black, but you can't see it. Activision. Just for existing. I was gonna add EA to this tier list. I decided not to. Oh my god. It's really like nowadays Activision seems to be so like, I know they have a responsibility to their shareholders, but it feels like they're so focused on shareholders that they've taken away the life and energy of the games. And this kind of applies to AAA gaming in general, but Activision definitely has a really bad rap right now. What do they really have going for them? It's right now it's basically just Call of Duty, and then they don't own Blizzard. Blizzard doesn't have much going for them either, but we're gonna talk about that in a second. But yeah, I think we know. So we do have a few Apple controversies on here. Some of them are funny, some of them are actually bad. So what is this? So this is the iPhone 6s. And if you guys know anything about it nowadays, Apple did have a little history of slowing down their old phones through software updates. And there was, let's go into a little bit more. So like, if you had an iPhone 6s, obviously you would think the company does want you to upgrade because that's how they make some money. If you're sad about Club Penguin closing down. So if you had an older phone, you would think you would, these, like the iPhone 6s is actually still usable today. And I think that's one of the reasons why Apple wanted to throttle the performance of their old phones. And the justification that Apple said for this was, hey, your older phone's battery isn't as good, so we slow down the chips on your phone so that it still gets a similar battery life. And yes, the iPhone 6s did have terrible battery life, and they said that they did this for iPhone 7s as well. The iPhone 6 and 6s did have terrible battery life, and there actually was that I tried to act on. There was, I guess I had a 6s. There was actually a battery drain problem with it, and there was a recall on the iPhone 6s. And if you got it, you got it. But they didn't really tell you about it. I killed my 6s in a water pool. Uh-oh, bro. Obviously, your iPhone 6s died in a pool because it's because it had a headphone jack, right? Right? But they intentionally slowed down their phones because it helps with battery life. But realistically, it's to make your old phone feel slower and make you want to upgrade. Oh, what was this? That's a different thing. So, the question is, you might hear a shower in the background. I'm actually going to, 1 second. I think that might help a little bit. But how bad is this really? I think the fact that you could still use these older phones to this day, that it does make it pretty bad. It's because it had a background sound is gone. Okay, yeah, I added a little filter for the background noise. See if it'll help. How bad was it? What do you guys think? You guys think it was scary? I'm actually tending to agree with scary. It isn't the worst thing ever. You're probably going to upgrade your phone anyways eventually. The thing about the claim that Apple says with battery life is that the battery life is terrible. It's only going to get worse over time. So we slow it down to help you or Apple. We're working for the consumer. Yeah, right. Okay, but the thing about it is if batteries were easier to replace, that wouldn't even be an excuse. So I'm just being honest, it's still Apple's fault. But the phone gets slower over time. Yeah, that's how it works. Definitely. The thing about it is like a 6, like what does your phone really need to do? And all your phone really needs to do is be able to browse social media, browse the internet, do maps, take photos. It's nothing really that intensive. Some people might game on their phones. That's about as intensive as a phone is ever gonna do. So an older phone would probably still be fine today if it wasn't for that. I think this is scary. It's similar to the Apple practices of saying, hey, we want you to upgrade your phone. We want you to buy more stuff. It's really, needs are subjective. The worst part is it's hard to track it. That's so true too. But it's like an Apple thing where they want you to spend more money. They're trying to do it in the most subtle way possible, like with the headphone jack. You might not realize how much more it actually costs to have, all the adapters. They're nickel and diming you until you upgrade your phone or you actually make a big purchase. Makes you want to upgrade your stuff. Or unintentionally buy AirPods or something like that. Glued-in batteries. That is true. That is true. Glued-in batteries are usually bigger. But I still think it would be better, like, if it wasn't that much more expensive to buy it, like another battery, like if they're relatively cheap, affordable, you'd think that you could carry it around an extra one. Irreplaceable battery, like, I just think this whole situation is annoying and possibly scary for the future of how we're actually getting sold phones. Because what if they're still doing this stuff? They just don't tell us. And they did have to do a big settlement because of that. So Apple got punished, but how much is $500 million to Apple? It sounds like a lot. Apple's worth over $1 trillion. Definitely hurts though. All tech goes in the annoying category. Okay. So, Archita says, in fairness, there are pull tab adhesives that make it easier to remove for somebody at a reasonable level of competence. The only problem is newer phones have only gotten worse with how they do batteries and how they do the repairability. 3 trillion? Oh my god. Newer phones have only gotten worse with their repairability. Like, I used to replace phone screens and stuff, but I don't do that anymore. Yeah. All right. Us in the PC gaming community. Let me take a sip of this. We're sipping on today. Big K. Cherry soda. There you go. Yes. I have a lot of tabs open. I already did I did my homework. 8 gigabytes of VRAM. Yes, we've all been talking about this in 2023. Oh. No. Wait 1 second. Let me get this up real quick, real quick, guys. I just messed up. I accidentally closed the tab. Give me 2 seconds. Okay.
We're gonna look at the line.
All right. So nowadays, the controversy with 8 gigabytes of VRAM. This is VRAM. You're like, what is 8 gigabyte? It's VRAM on graphics cards. Okay, that is a topic of discussion, and it's more the fact that it's in 2023, because back in 2016, VRAM was awesome. Okay, like 8 gigabytes. 2 thumbs up. Like, we were happy with 8 gigabytes when we got a GTX 1070, when we got an RX 480 8 gigabyte model. That was awesome in 2016, but times have changed. And we can see in games, I'm gonna mute this. This is Hardware Unboxes video. So obviously check this out. It's a 4060 Ti 16 gigabyte versus the 8 gigabyte one. And yeah, you can see here in Last of Us, obviously Last of Us was like one of the games that kind of set it all off this year, because it's starting to get to that point. Games are starting to require more. And this is because of a future proofing thing, really. If you buy a graphics card in 2023 and has 8 gigabytes of VRAM, you want it to last for years into the future. And if you end up with performance like this, where there is a significant difference between having 8 gigabytes on the right and having 16 gigabytes on the left, it's a problem, okay? And you know, in 2023, even though the fact that games are starting to do this, Nvidia, you know, we'll see how AMD does with their lineup. It seems like they're gonna do about the same as 6000 series and give us about 12 and 16 gigabytes for the 7700 and 7800. But Nvidia released the 4060 and 4060 Ti, and they both have 8 gigabytes of VRAM. Obviously, the 4060 Ti 16 gigabyte card has, you know, 16 gigabytes of VRAM. That's crazy. I know, realization. And it's more the fact that if you're buying it now, why are we getting so little? This is definitely going to be a limiting factor in the future. Can you get around it right now? Yes, you can get around it. And in fact, Daniel Owen just posted a video today, which is a good watch if you guys want to check it out. But he went over the 16 gigabyte 4060 Ti and 8 gigabyte one. And so it's a little farther into the video. But he went over it here, and it's more about these games, even though you might not be playing these games, the latest games that have issues with VRAM. It's about years down the line, this is going to become common. When you still want to be using your 8 gigabyte card in 4 years, almost every game is going to be going over 8 gigabytes. And yes, there is ways that you can get around using 8 gigabytes of VRAM. You can work around it right now. It's possible. And game developers are taking into account that not everybody has that amount of VRAM. But you don't want that to be your limiting factor. And it sucks when you buy a GPU that you're limited and your textures look bad or something because you can't up it. Or you can't enable ray tracing even though your card is capable of it, but your ray tracing uses more VRAM, so you just can't use it. Oh yeah. Polar Frost said, do you think 16 gigabytes of VRAM will be the future? It could be. It could be. I think it's a good recommendation. I think 16 gigabytes should be what every card is coming with. If you're above, I'd say $300, I'd say. 12 gigabytes is fine. The thing about it is a lot of people are going to 1440p, and you also need more VRAM in 1440p. So it's something to take into account. Assuming this song is kind of loud. Let me turn it down a little bit. It's kind of loud to me. So, yeah, 8 gigabytes. Again, is it the worst thing ever? No, because like I just said, you can work around having 8 gigabytes of VRAM. And even in the future, there'll probably be ways you can work around it. But we can't be 100% sure of it. So it's not the worst though. There's definitely there's things on this list that could kill people. So it's not the worst. Is it scary? No. I think I would put it in frustrating. Let me know what you guys think. This is where I put it. It sucks to have. It could be scary though. Like, I'm definitely on the fence because this is about future proofing. This is about where is your money going to lead to in the future? Is your investment, are you actually basically getting scammed? Because if you buy a card right now, how long is it even going to last? It's actually similar to how Apple in the scary tier actually slows down the old phones. I think it could be scary. Yeah, I think it could be scary. I think I'm getting convinced. Steven says, all these graphics cards are tested at ultra high settings, and we need more realistic high-end graphics cards like the 1080p on. So I think what he's saying is that we need to test things at more realistic settings. And what Daniel found in his video is that at more realistic settings, it was still close. Like, he's actually only at 1080p very high. This doesn't have ray tracing on it. And I wouldn't even say that Ratchet and Clank, it probably has nice looking textures, but I wouldn't say this is probably the most intensive like texture game. The model detail is probably good, which uses a lot of VRAM as well. But this is pretty realistic settings to be buying a 60 Ti class card in 2023. You should be able to play at 1080p very high and at least get 60 FPS. That's usually how it's been. The GTX 1060 could do that in 2016, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah. It's about buying it now and then seeing what it's going to do in the future. I don't think it'd be good. What do you guys are like straight memeing today. Also, can you even see her? Wait, let me hide you guys. There you go. Roxy is chilling on the desk. I feel like I should point that out. But yeah. Developers. You can. Developers are going to start making games for the newest consoles. Like, let's be honest here. So, cat. Oh my god. Instantly just cat in the chat. Cat chat. Maybe should add the mining controversy on here. I agree with you. I don't think I can add things now. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think you can. It is what it is, but yeah, I got some of this stuff. Hive mind. Yeah, but the mining controversy, that would be something else. And I could even talk about NFTs and stuff, like, bruh. I was trying to think of like a nice acronym, but just scam NFTs. That's basically what it is. Scam coin. There you go. Okay. Okay. I think let's just reset the order. I think it did. Okay. So here's this next one. Some of you guys might be curious about what the heck this is. Do you guys know what this is? Remember the Apple wheels? I got a quick question for you. Do you want to pay $700 for wheels? You want to pay $700? That sounds like a deal to me. Hey, it costs as much as a 7900 XT, right? And I bet you're wondering, why are the wheels $700? Well, let me just pause the music real quick and we'll take a look at this. Just so you know, these wheels cost more than the wheels on your car.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm TB HD.
And that's $700. That looks like $700 right there. I think that's a good deal, right? So yeah. So Apple, if you aren't familiar with this, Apple, you know, they do the goofy stuff. They did this, like Marquez talks about in his video. They did a funny thing here, like the Supreme brick.
All the time. Supreme.
Do you guys remember the Supreme brick, or just Supreme as a brand in general? They make things cost a lot of money just for the sake of it costing a lot of money. Okay, BHD. Okay. Oh no. Oh my god. I'd rather get better value being scammed on eBay. Bro, I'm gonna buy the wheels secondhand to get them for 10% off. Yeah. So I think we got our first funny one. Ain't nobody buying it, really. Or you might buy it, but I bet there's an off-brand one that you get. So like if you have the Mac Pro, the cheese grater one, you can put these wheels on it and then slide around your computer. Why you need that? I don't know. I thought Marquez was going to show it in this video here, but it doesn't seem like he is. Did he even put it on the computer? Oh, there. There, you can put on it. So you can have your cheese grater look like a little race car, like Zoom. Like Zoom, bro. So I think this hits funny tier. It's not hurting anybody, but some people definitely got scammed. For sure. Big zooms. We're gonna do the PC go brrr. It's like your fan's revving up and it actually moves. But yeah. All right. A little bit more serious one. Thank you, is it Francois? I'm not gonna pretend I know how to pronounce your last name. Said, well, my 750 Ti was playing Battlefield 4 at 57 FPS on Ultra 1080p in 2014. Fallout 4 at 60. The 750 Ti was a good card, huh? So yeah, 4060 Ti should be able to play at 1080p, 100 plus FPS, and some 1440p at 60 FPS. Because I agree with you, I think 1440p is starting to become the norm, like how 1080p was. And if a mainstream budget end card was playing at 1080p, I think our, $400 graphics card should be able to play at 1440p. I'm just crazy. Am I crazy? Maybe I'm crazy. So, this one's a little bit more serious. Activision, Blizzard. Now, this isn't Activision and Blizzard merging, and that's not what this is about. This is more of the controversy with Microsoft's acquisition. What's up, Deathwish? Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Now, this is controversial. The people are on both sides of this. If you want my take, I lean towards pro this deal. And I know that's setting off alarm bells. I know, it's crazy. If they merge, everything's going to get destroyed or whatever. And we don't want monopolies. The only problem that I see with this is I really don't think Microsoft on its own two legs or on its own 2 feet or whatever really has the power to stand up against Sony or Nintendo. And if you look at this image, this is my take. This is my opinion. Blizzard in general is terrible. Activision, we already put Activision in Activision tier, so just remember that. But yeah, even after Microsoft acquires these two companies, this is what the market share is going to look like. Now, could they grow because they own them? Possibly. But they don't have a monopoly. So I don't think this is like that anti-competitive. I actually think this would make Microsoft compete a lot more because Microsoft doesn't really have games anymore. They just kind of have Xbox and Xbox Game Pass. By the way, thank you, Deathwish. And yeah, I'm having a good birthday. Nintendo is scary. Nintendo's scary too because it's in its own world. It actually, if you talk about anti-competitive, we'll get to Nintendo later, don't worry. There's Nintendo tech controversy as well. Nintendo is also very anti-competitive. And I think this is opinionated, and we'll have to see how it goes, because according to this deal, it seems like Microsoft is going to beat the FTC. And this might actually end up going through. In my personal opinion, of all the publishers that make games, if Microsoft was publishing for, well, I don't even know how that would work, but if they're under the leadership of Microsoft, it seems like how Starfield is going. Starfield isn't out yet. Obviously, we don't know if it's actually a good game. But bro said I'm hungry for pie. Microsoft seems to treat their developers a little bit better. Now, I can't guarantee this is going to be true all the time, but we see how Halo Infinite's going right now. But I don't know if that's the fault of Microsoft or 343 Industries just not knowing how to make a Halo game. It could be both. But Microsoft seems to give time to their developers to make games that are good. And yeah, maybe I'm wrong on that. I'm hoping Starfield is going to be good, and I'm hoping I'll be proven right. Francois says Starfield will be insane. I hope it's going to be insane. I got an AMD graphics card, so I got Starfield bundled with it. So I will be testing it. And I got the one that you get it 5 days early. So we'll see how it goes. But obviously, we never know how a deal like this is going to turn out. It could end up that Microsoft and Game Pass and everything ends up being so crazy. But at least I think in the court case, they signed a deal that they have to still provide Call of Duty and Blizzard games to other platforms. Now, apparently, Activision Activision Blizzard might also have to put games on Switch as well, which I don't think I want Call of Duty on Switch, but Switch is already struggling to run anything, and Call of Duty on there just does not sound that good. So yeah, I think this is an interesting case though, but we never know how it's going to go in the future. And I think that's why I'd put it in scary, because we don't know the future. Even though I'm for it, I'm in support of it. I'd rather Microsoft be competing, because having Activision Blizzard, Microsoft doesn't really have that many studios right now, and this would actually give them the ability to compete. Because on Activision Blizzard's on their own, if Microsoft can't compete with Sony and Nintendo, do you think Activision Blizzard can compete with them either? I mean, Microsoft is competitive, they're a threat, but do you think Activision Blizzard would be more of a threat than Microsoft would? And I don't think they would be. So with their combined, like if they combine, then this could actually change the landscape a lot. And maybe we'll get some better games, who knows? And also Game Pass just sounds like it'd be really good. Because at the very least, like, people will argue it's anti-competitive, but I feel like we want Game Pass to be good. It sounds like a really good deal, huh? But yeah. There it is. Here's some more PC gaming controversy. WTF, Asus? What is this about? Well, if you guys follow Gamers Nexus, this was... When was this? Like maybe like 2-3 months ago? Or something like that? This whole drama was going down. And let's just see this here.
There's also a level of possible fuckery here that you should be aware of.
Let's see. So, on Asus motherboards, and the reason why Steve is saying WTF Asus, okay, is because on Asus motherboards, 7800, I don't know where they show it, but they made this CPU blow up. And the reason it blew up was because on Asus motherboards, they messed up the voltages and stuff. So it would be taking way too much power, and then it would short and blow up. So, yeah.
Watch that before this one.
You see the little bump in it? The little bump?
It's a really cool video and kind of required information. But not only has Asus's newest BIOS not fixed the problems, it is acting in an extremely scummy and we think unethical way as it tries to slither out of any responsibility.
Okay, so what happened is 7800X3D CPUs, that's an AMD CPU if you're wondering, Ryzen CPU, they were blowing up in Asus motherboards, literally exploding. And we'll get to more exploding things in the video here, but yeah, what happened is they were exploding in there, and then Asus, like this didn't just end there. Asus didn't just like send out a thing and say like, hey, we'll cover warranty and we'll do that stuff. The problem is that Asus didn't actually honor warranties immediately. Obviously, there's some degree of freedom there with a company as they try to figure out the problem, but there's a lot of miscommunication. And if you look through this video, they made a BIOS that went on their website, and on that BIOS, they said it voided your warranty. The BIOS that would fix your motherboard, or hopefully fix your motherboard from exploding, which would be dangerous to you. And obviously you're going to lose your CPU and your motherboard. Like, it could also hurt you. It'd probably be fine, but it could hurt you. This voided your warranty. Now, the reason this is an issue is because they didn't clarify this. This didn't actually void your warranty. And in fact, Steve did a follow-up video on Asus, and apparently they really messed up on communication here. This whole time they were covering warranties and this BIOS wasn't going to affect it. This is just something that we don't know for sure if that's because Gamers Nexus called them out or not, because they had a little bit of time between. But apparently with all beta BIOSes, they have this message on it that say, oh, this could void your warranty. If you use the beta BIOS, that would fix it. So, yeah. It was a bad communication problem, but in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't funny. It was more than annoying. It's almost scary, but I might say frustrating. I think I'm gonna put it frustrating. Because in the end, they did resolve it. But it definitely hurt the way that we look at Asus as a company. And yeah, what do you guys think about that? I'd say frustrating on that one. Because they did fix it in the end. And they honor warranties, and they did fix it in the BIOS. I feel like that's fine placement. I'm not seeing anything in chat. Technological Elite says frustrating. I think consumers got screwed over until the media covered it. That's one of the things about it is like, if this stayed hush hush and Gamers Nexus didn't go out and start making videos, if Jay didn't make his video where he said he's going to stop working with Asus, would it have even gotten resolved? Would they have cleared it up at all? Would the communication ever have been fixed? I was going to put the Gigabyte controversy on here, but it is not. It is not on here, actually. But yeah. Maybe we can add the Gigabyte one at the end. I'm not sure if Asus... I think Asus would have fixed it with a BIOS, but they might not have clarified that it was covered under warranty, or Asus wouldn't have even honored anything. I just left it as it was. Just let them explode, because that saves them money. We can't be for sure. That's the tricky thing about this. We can't be for sure if Asus was acting in good faith here. Okay. Let's move on to our next one. Dolphin. What the heck is that? Why is there just a blue thing? Okay. Some of you guys might recognize the logo. That is the Dolphin emulator. Okay? You guys might recognize this. This emulates Wii and GameCube games. Okay? Why is this on this list though? Like, Dolphin's cool. It's fun and everything. Okay. So, Nintendo is actually suing the creators of Dolphin. And this case is ongoing right now. I actually just found out about it today though. But Nintendo is taking a stance against emulation. And they say it stifles innovation. So this kind of like goes to extend to all emulation in general. Is emulation okay or not? I think where most people sit, it's good for consumers. Because it's like playing Tears of the Kingdom on a Switch versus at 60 FPS on a PC. It's like being able to play it on a system that you don't have to dig out of your closet and see if the game still works or stuff like that. Now, emulation can have some issues because you could be pirating games. Yes, and that's a fact of life. Although, everyone's going to pirate games. So, I think for the most case, and so the stance of like Nintendo generally from what I've seen, and probably how I agree, is that Nintendo makes awesome games. And that's one of the reasons why they have so much market share, like we showed before. But their legal team is really annoying. Eddie says emulation helps me play games I loved back in the day. I feel like that's how it is. And emulation, I feel like it's always, in my opinion, okay if you own the game. If you bought it on another console, you own the rights to basically play it on anything. One of the annoying things I always find is say you bought, like say for example me, I have Spider-Man PS4. I have it on the PS4 and I don't want to buy it again on PC. You missed some things, Des. That's one of the things, like, emulation allows you to overcome that problem. Like, if you own the game already, you can play it on another system. And just for the fact that I think a lot of people are okay with emulation. I think Nintendo's stance against Dolphin as an emulator is really shitty. I think that's going in the worst tier. That controversy might be controversial for me to say, but I think that's gotta be like one of the worst. I feel like emulation is healthy for the community. It's not perfect either, no. It's not perfect. And there's a cool video on this. I haven't watched this, but this is a funny thumbnail too. The Emu War. But is Nintendo suing Dolphin now? At least not yet. Video goes into it. They might be considering it. Actually, okay, so I might have been mistaken. They're not suing them yet. If this Redditor's right. And this was 20 days ago. But overall, I think emulation's pretty good for us. Oh my, I say Nintendo. Fair. I think other YouTubers say that Nintendo isn't archiving their games, so Dolphin was doing good for them. I would tend to agree because Nintendo's first-party system to playing their old games is through like buying every single one again when you already owned them in the past, which I find is annoying. It's milking us again. It's like doing remakes and remasters over and over again. I don't really like remakes and remasters either, but you guys might disagree unless they actually improve on the game in a drastic way to justify it. Nintendo's way of doing their monthly subscription thing is pretty garbage. And that's Nintendo Online. You get a certain amount of games every month. It's just emulated games. The emulator is not even as good as what we've been able to emulate before. So yeah, I think overall, this sucks. This is one of the worst. And we might be moving on to another worst. Yeah. Yeah. The Samsung Galaxy Note 7. Y'all might remember this. This was in like 2017. These are scary things. I actually didn't see pictures of this back in the day when it happened. And Samsung phones look like this. There's actually people that would have a Samsung Note 7 in their phone and it would explode. The battery would explode and in your pocket and actually blow a hole in your pocket. Like it was aggressive. I thought it was like a slow burn kind of like pop, but oh no, bro, they look like this. I don't know how many actually blew up. But what's scary is that they can do damage like this. This was from a Note 7 blowing up in a Jeep. Apparently. I haven't looked super deep into it. Yeah, and they got banned from airplanes. This guy here had it blow up in his pocket. Yeah, it's scary. Yeah, this could kill people. It sounds kind of cool and badass unless you actually look into what kind of damage it could cause. And then, yeah, this is pretty terrifying. That's bad. And, see, the only problem why I might not put it in the worst tier, is it's obvious. It's like Samsung didn't do this on purpose, though. And Samsung did recall all Galaxy Note 7 devices. I don't know how much money this cost them, but yeah, they did recall them. I don't know if they ended up re-releasing them or not, because they kind of remedied. Yeah. Excuse me. They kind of remedied the situation. So I'm a little iffy about it if it does go in worst, because it's terrifying and it's scary. But did they fix it? Yeah. They did fix it. But I think I'll leave it in worst. It got fixed by firmware updates? That's interesting. This was a software problem? I'm sorry. We have cat. There's cat tail. Yeah, let's take her down. This might end up a video. Don't know. Don't know, actually. Depends how much time I have. But speaking of phones blowing up, or breaking, I guess you could call it. Here's another one. So you guys remember when the Samsung Galaxy Fold launched? Yeah. That was a thing. So I guess just more Samsung problems. Marquez has another video on this. And basically, if you got a Samsung Galaxy Fold, there was a little film on the top of it that was like a screen protector, kind of. Or it looked like a screen protector, but that was actually part of the screen. So when you pulled it off, the screen went dead. And yeah. Because folding phones are a little bit weird with how their tech is. Like, this, obviously the screen has to be able to crease. And then this was also like one of the most like exciting phones, I guess you could say, at the time. I don't remember what year this was. 4 years ago. This is 2019, and Samsung had some controversies in like a few years. But like this was a pretty big phone. Like, it's really expensive. Most people don't have it. It's a luxury product. Linus Tech Tips daily drives one. But yeah, there's a Pixel Fold, and the Pixel Fold also had issues with their screen. It would crack. There was cracking on the Pixel phone. That would be in the middle of it. But I didn't include it on this list because I didn't think it was as crazy as this one. This was a big deal when this happened. People were worried like if folding tech was even, doable because of this. And it launched like so, like people were just breaking their phones. Yeah. Tainted says just get a tablet. Yeah, it'd probably be cheaper. But you can't put it in your pocket though. Yeah, you could literally get a phone and a tablet rather than having one Galaxy Fold. But yeah. This one, do you guys know how they did Samsung remedy this problem? Because I'm torn. Like, did they do recalls or did they honor warranties? I'm assuming they did, but I'm not 100% sure. Excuse me. But yeah, I'm torn between annoying and frustrating. They unlaunched it. I think they did, because I think this happened before it fully launched, right? And then I think they delayed it. Vex. What the... Bro's cooking with the names. I think I put it in annoying. It wasn't really funny. It didn't affect us because it wasn't even released yet. So it wasn't really frustrating. But it was almost scary in a way. So that's why Scary has some crossover. It was kind of scary to see if folding phones were even like a thing. Because in the phone market, we talked about it earlier, phones don't really have a whole lot going for them right now because most phones can do what you need them to do. Folding phones, realistically, I think are some of the only like exciting things that have happened with phones in probably the past 5 years. Mostly it's just two sheets of glass that are sandwiched together, and then there's the phone in the middle. So yeah, let's move on to Stadia. Oh boy, do you guys even know what Stadia is? Google Stadia. Except I don't have any. Yeah. Cloud gaming. It's like it didn't even happen. So what Stadia was, it was a Google product. And you can see right now, this is what the website looks like. Shut down this year, at the beginning of the year. Okay. Well, I guess I'll say on this website. What Google Stadia was their cloud gaming service. So like how Nvidia has been doing cloud gaming, basically you could go on Google Stadia, play games remotely from Google servers. And then you could buy games through it, save them and everything. But all you'd have is like a little Chromecast and be playing through a Chromecast. Cloud gaming is cool, but it didn't catch on. Latency sucks on cloud gaming. If you don't have a stable internet connection, good luck. And if you're not close in proximity to the servers, good luck. It could be pretty bad. Also, they didn't get exclusives. They were supposed to be getting developers to make exclusive games for Stadia, and they didn't really get that. So there wasn't a huge draw to go and play on Stadia instead of just buying your own console. By the time that you're in with a subscription service and you're in with a Chromecast and a controller, you could get an Xbox One S, that white Xbox One, and you could have a decent gaming experience for like $200. It's like, for the average person that Stadia would actually be targeting, you could just get a console and you'd have a better gaming experience probably, because it wouldn't feel like a laggy, mushy mess. So Stadia just didn't have a place. I'm almost thinking it's like sad, but nothing really describes this one, bro. I got garbage tiers, not a pro tier maker. Because it's not really annoying. It's not frustrating. Maybe it's frustrating. Because there's also in the way that Google like canceled Stadia. They had tons of people working on the project, and then it just went like, good luck, find another job. So everybody that was working on the games just disappeared. They just ended it. All of a sudden, there wasn't really, I mean, I think if you look at the numbers, if you were in the company, you did look at the numbers for Stadia, it probably wasn't doing very well, but like, who was actually using Stadia? It's a cool idea, but in practice, I don't think many people actually used it. The only reason I would say it's maybe annoying, it is kind of funny, I agree with you, but it's the fact of how they treated their employees. Like, that was pretty shitty. That would maybe put it in annoying just for the empathetic kind of stuff. I'm gonna put it in annoying. Just one step below funny. It doesn't really affect many of us, but I can feel for the employees. Tony, what is your setup, and do you have a setup video? If you check out my 10K Q&A video, I did show my setup in it. Xbox has a better approach. Yeah, I also think technologically, Xbox has a better approach, including it in a subscription service people are actually using. So like they include Game Pass. There is like xCloud too, but Game Pass, I think, gets included with Xbox Live. I think Game Pass overall is a better system because you want to own the games locally. So with Xbox Game Pass, you get to pay a monthly subscription, get access to a ton of games, and then download them. I think that's more the use case of it. Cloud gaming is just like not it. Unfortunately, we're not there yet. The Stadia was the fact that it was a cool idea too, I think, is what puts it in annoying. Because it's kind of sad. Yeah, I like Game Pass. I might get Game Pass. I don't know about y'all. It's looking pretty good nowadays. yet another Apple controversy. Oh yeah, we cooking now. Okay, so the MacBook Air. You guys like Apple just loves taking away ports. You know, they just love this stuff. Game Pass is heat if you play games. Also, if you play a lot of different games and more single player games, I think usually Game Pass is nice. But just like how Apple takes away like ports on the iPhone, they also take away ports on the MacBook Air. On a laptop that can support many ports, it can. On a laptop that can support bars. I'm in another realm. They took away the ports on a freaking laptop, bro. They're goofy. So what they did is they just put a bunch of USB-C ports or Thunderbolt ports on their laptops. And they did this for like 4 years. What's funny about Apple is they didn't admit they were wrong, but they very quietly, or actually no, they didn't even quietly. They hyped up the announcement of the newer MacBooks because they have ports again. Whoa, they have a headphone jack. You had a laptop that I'm not even sure had a headphone jack on it. I don't even think it did. Did it even have a on a laptop? Just get dongles. Talk about sunk costs, bro. You got to get a laptop, then you have to carry around 2 dongles with you just to use your peripherals. But then they brought the ports back and acted like it was this crowning achievement. They took it away and then they brought it back. It's like game companies taking away features in games and then reintroducing them again as a feature later on. Yeah, Apple, we're not buying it. I think this goes in funny tier. This goes in funny tier. Yeah, dongles sucked. I'd rather be able to carry on your laptop. It's one of the beauties of laptops is they are so portable. So having to bring around a bunch of dongles makes the setup process even longer. Like, bruh. And it's more expensive. Like, dongles are not cheap, dude. Like, you might have like $100 dongle for your $1,000 MacBook. You know, it's just so much money. You have a headphone jack? Okay. At least you have a headphone jack. Bruh. But I think it deserves a funny. What do you gotta think about that? Metaverse. I'll move on to the funny guy. Brought to you by the Lizard Man. I like to barbecue I like to smoke my meat. Any funny good? Yeah. I feel like that's good. Because you could still get around it. The ports. But yeah, let's move on to Meta. This is also going in funny tier, at least for me. Well, I think with the ports especially, on MacBooks, is Apple realized they were wrong and then they brought them back. And how Apple reacts to doing that is like, wow, like, hey, we're so amazing. We brought ports to our laptop where they already had them before. Like, I think that's funny. So, Meta's in the funny tier. Yeah. Metaverse. Giga Chad Metaverse. So, why is it funny though? I love explaining jokes. Zuck is totally a real human being who enjoys real human activities like smoking meat and drinking water. 4 Nvidia jackets out of 10. So, Facebook doesn't have a good image and brand image, so Facebook decided, or the Lizard Man, who knows if he's entirely responsible for it, but he's at least a big part of it, wanted to rebrand as Meta, and they basically put their entire company, like a over $1 trillion company, on the line by rebranding as Meta and banking on the metaverse being the future. We saw them do this recently when Facebook made Threads. That's also a thing. I also enjoy walking with my 2 feet. Bruh, and eating food. Human activities. But the meta was supposed to like change the way that we view Facebook. And the problem with it is like nobody's ready to be in a metaverse. And it's kind of cringe. And the ecosystem is not developed enough. So this ended up just being a funny thing. Maybe eventually the metaverse will be a thing. I'm not hating it, but at this moment in time, it's kind of bad. Now, the Nvidia partner program. You guys know? You guys might not even know what Nvidia partner program is. I'm not even super familiar with it, but this is a controversial thing. I'd say this is scary. Nvidia partner program. Nvidia used to have a program, I think, with their board partners, and they canceled this back in 2018. There's a Wikipedia article, PC World did an article on it. It was a marketing program designed to provide partnering companies with benefits such as public relations support, video game bundling, and marketing development funds, which sounds so cool, right? The program proved to be controversial, with complaints about it being anti-competitive in practice. Nvidia canceled the program in May of 2018. As far as I know, what Nvidia was doing with the partner program was giving incentives to only working with Nvidia. And the way that they do that is like, money. And this would encourage companies to work with Nvidia using their market leader status and not working with the other competition. And yeah, a lot of people called this out back in the day. Hardware Unbox usually talks about how they called it out because this was a problem. And I know we talked about anti-competitive stuff with the Activision Blizzard acquisition. But yeah, Nvidia is like, hey, we can just do this and we're going to get away with it. They didn't. But I think they got away with it for a while. So, onto some gaming stuff, right? Now, this is like somewhere where my bias comes through. It's because I was playing Overwatch 2 very consistently. And, I'll put this in the frustrating tier. Overwatch 2. You guys may know about this. This was announced back in 2019. That was loud.
We're being overrun. Null sector is everywhere.
I'll skip ahead a little bit. So Overwatch 2 was supposed to be built up to have this like huge PvE missions and stuff. You go around the world and do stuff, hero missions, a progression system, and loadouts to change your abilities and all that stuff. And now it looks like this. So yeah, PvE is canceled. Player versus environment. That's what that stands for. Yeah, there's no progression in the game anymore. And on top of that, they make gamers pay for those campaign missions now. You don't get the hero progression or any of the ability customization, but now you have to pay for it as well. Yeah, this is just depressing. And Overwatch is probably the most fumbled gaming franchise to ever exist. I'm trying to think of one that's worse. And I can't think of any. Because you guys know how successful Overwatch was back in 2016 when it launched, and it was very popular for a while. And people loved the characters, people loved the story and everything. And actually, we're looking forward to PvE. And then they spent all this development time working on it, and then they're not going to deliver it. It is probably the most fumbled gaming franchise ever. It has so much potential, and they just screwed it up. You guys don't want PvE. Why? Said in the tone of, you guys don't want PvE? Why? You guys all have phones, right? Yeah. Another common Blizzard L. But yeah, Overwatch is so fumbled. Francois said FIFA is one of those games. I don't play FIFA, so I don't really know. But I think I could see that. FIFA is definitely a money grab nowadays, and it kind of has like gotcha in it. But, okay. So, PS5. Like, how did I put PS5? Just that on here. What the heck does that mean? But you're like, what? Okay, so this is the controversy that I'm talking about. Is PS5s had leaking, like, do you guys know? Excuse me. You guys know like thermal paste and stuff? Another option for thermal paste is liquid metal, and as it's in the name, it's liquid metal, and this stuff is conductive. So, but it also conducts heat extremely well. It's way better than thermal paste. It is. And it is liquid, and it doesn't set up like thermal paste does, as well as it being conductive. If this leaks onto your PS5, or if it gets out from the actual thing it's supposed to be cooling, then it could short out your components and destroy your PS5. And Sony used this for their cooling design, and some people were having this thermal, liquid metal leak out from their APU, and then this was destroying their PS5s. But this was a huge misunderstanding. The only time that this happened on people's system, this wasn't Sony's fault. The only time that it seems to have been happening was when people took apart their PS5. Let's see where it is in here. If you take apart your PS5 and put it back together, if you don't put it back together correctly, it could leak over your entire PS5 and then break it. Which sucks, but at the same time, it's not that big of a deal. As long as you don't take apart your PS5, people were worried about if you had your PS5 standing upright, then it would leak and then destroy it, and you shouldn't put your PS5 upright. But it seems to be fine nowadays. Okay, so what's funny is Sony is abandoning liquid metal nowadays because they don't want to take that risk. And then on top of that, with them abandoning liquid metal, that's actually because they can use thermal paste now, or at least some kind of thermal conductive layer, because the new chips they're using, the PS5 Pro won't have liquid metal. In that console, the chip is more efficient, so they actually don't need as much heat conduction. So I'd say this goes to annoying. You have to be worried about taking apart your PS5. But yeah, same can happen with GPUs, yeah. Makes stuff harder to repair. Yeah, I'd say it's annoying. Curious about the GPU power in the PS5 Pro. I think the whole APU, draws around 200 watts, somewhere in there. Pretty good chunk of power, but most graphics card coolers can handle that. So it's not that crazy. Now, the most classic of all. Now, I did not have this console. You guys might recognize this is the red ring of death on the, I think the original Xbox 360 model. I had an upgraded version. I didn't get the red ring of death. What the red ring of death would be is this actually indicates errors on the console. So this is like kind of like a debug menu. And this could mean various things. And I think only in the past few years, Microsoft actually came out and told us what actually happened to it. It says Microsoft explains how the red ring of death happened. And this was only in December of 2021. So basically, if you got the red ring of death, your console might have issues. There's some people, sometimes it was only an issue of poor thermals, but sometimes there's other errors going on in the console. And what Microsoft did to remedy this, I actually don't know if they covered warranties or what with it, but they did also make a refresh of the console, which is one of the ones that I got, and that fixed the issue. So it had high temperatures. Problem was these if you guys want to know the real problem, the temperature of these balls going from hot to cold so often was the actual issue. There you go. So the red ring of death, because it's memed and funny, I would want to put it in the funny tier, but I think realistically this actually did affect a lot of people, and it broke a lot of people's Xboxes. Technological Elite says no warranty to my information, that's it. But then again, it was my childhood, so I don't remember. We'll put it in frustrating, maybe even scary. The meme is literally just like death. You see the red ring. It's Jover, bruh. Hot balls. I'm gonna put it in scary. I think I'm gonna leave it in scary, actually. Yeah. What do you think about that? Red ring of death and scary. It might even be worst, actually. Like, I'm thinking about it, like, basically all my friends that got the original Xbox 360 model got the red ring of death. Almost everyone. And you could buy these consoles used, and you always had to take the risk that you would get this. It's still, other than that, like, if you didn't get the red ring of death, it worked fine. I'm almost tempted to put it in worse, but like, if you combine it with like putting it, it's not as bad as the Note 7's blowing up though. And you lost your data. Oof. The yellow light of death on the PS3 flat or fat. Bruh. Don't do the PS3 like that, dog. That was a chonky console. Ain't gonna lie. Yeah, I'm gonna put it in scary. It's not as bad as the Note 7 blowing up, but it is at least worse like these ones. PS3 was heat. I wish I had a PS3 actually. Free online. I didn't buy Xbox Gold, so I never had experience online until I got PC actually. Having a PS3 with free online would have been awesome. It would have been sick, bro. We went normie and we got the Xbox. He says it was scary. It was something to worry about. Felt like the worst thing to happen. And also the constant like fear that it would happen to your Xbox as well. As much of it as is kind of a meme nowadays, it did really suck back then. Okay. I'm gonna put this in frustrating. Are you curious? What is this? Smash Ultimate. Isn't know what Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is? And this is Nintendo being Nintendo. They're back on their bullshit. And they're awful lawyers that everybody hates. Okay. Nintendo shuts down Smash Tournament over some absurd bullshit. Okay, I forget why they even shut it down, but there is a huge Super Smash Bros. Tournament, so if you're in the esports scene or anything like that, that's What the? Bro, that is a sus ad. Okay. But Nintendo was like definitely cracking down on tournaments. People were having fun playing their games and competing in their games. And they're like, nah, you can't do that. Just Nintendo stuff. Nintendo doing Nintendo things. And they shut down a Smash tournament, one of the biggest ones in the world. This was called Smash Ultimate Summit, and this was supposed to happen in 2022. Yeah, I haven't been searching up anything like that. That's the thing. Aren't they based on your habits? And y'all were gonna say that. No, I don't think I've searched anything up like that. But yeah, Isaiah goes in frustrating. It's Nintendo doing Nintendo things. We hate their legal team. Why would... The only reason I can think for them to actually go against like the actual tournaments, because you'd think that'd be healthy for the game. People want to play your game. Bro, Cameron, bro, you gotta stop. What was that ad so I don't accidentally look at it? Don't worry, bro. I censored it for you. Don't worry about it. But the only reason I could think is because they want to associate Smash Ultimate as being a casual game instead of being a competitive game. And if there's a crowd that does well that is competitive, that's an issue for them. Activision goes in their own tier. But that's the thing, is like... Actually, this might go to scary. Actually, I'm gonna put it in scary. I'm putting it in scary. Because it's really fears for the future of the Smash competitive scene. They actually took legal action on this. That's crazy. Okay. Man, there's quite a bit of scary things, man. What is this? Tesla autopilot. See this guy's hands? He's like, I ain't driving. Hands off the wheel, I'm doing my thing. Obviously, you guys probably know all about Tesla autopilot. Marquez did a cool video on it. And yeah, he drove around with letting Tesla do its thing. And this is scary for, I guess, some people. It did surprisingly good in his video here. But people are, people are scared of Tesla because it's been in car crashes. But people will credit this to autopilot being the issue. And I don't really know if it is or not. There isn't. You'd have to know how many cars are actually driving on the road with Tesla autopilot to confirm this is actually a bad ratio, because we all know that the most common cause of death in the United States is car crashes. So it's kind of like, how bad is this? How many casualties? I think there's been 17 deaths. Tainted says it still drives better than most people on the road. I kind of agree. There's multiple levels to why this is scary, because this might shut down. If so much action is taken on Tesla autopilot here and saying it's danger to the road, it's hard to tell if it's just drama hype, or if this is actually going to maybe cause it to stop. Because I think autopilot is really good, and I think most cars do a really nice balance of actually using autopilot features, safety features like lane assist, parking, and lane control. So not letting you ride up on somebody, pause. And I think autopilot is basically like all those features fully realized into one vehicle that can basically do everything. I think overall, autopilot would be safer for the road for most people, and I would rather it be the future. I want it to keep getting development. I don't want it to stop. So I think it's scary for the future of Tesla autopilot or autopilot in general, as well as, you know, it could be scary for people on the road. Like, do you trust your vehicle or not? Can't wait for flying cars. Bruh. Should have warned that this feature is beta. It is beta. Yeah. It is what it is, though. And I think that some news articles and stuff, videos on it that have talked about it causing casualties and stuff, have been maybe biased to an extent. I saw something about teleportation too. Like, guys, do you think teleportation would just be us dying where we are and then our consciousness being transported into another body? Or do you think teleportation would actually be us somehow moving our body to another place? I feel like it'd be like our consciousness is moving, but I'm not sure. It's an experimental feature for a reason. I want it to be developed as well. It has its flaws. Also, a prototype flying car exists. That's all true. Teleporting, bruh. We teleport. But that's how, I feel like that's how it'd have to do. You'd have to actually do it, which means we're so far out of teleportation because we can't even really work on our brains yet. AI is kind of the first stage to transferring consciousness, isn't it? Am I crazy on that? Bro, I'm tripping. I'm tripping, dog. Yeah. Okay. Another big tech controversy. Teleport to the toilet. Another big tech controversy. This is the Sony hack. Okay? Do you guys remember the big Sony hack in 2014? This is where so many people lost all of their all of their payment information through Sony got leaked. It's crazy. Like, I don't know if people got scammed or anything or got robbed because of this, but in the grand scheme of things, it's pretty scary to lose all of your stuff. And apparently this is what it looked like when he got hacked. And yeah, I think it kind of blows. I don't know exactly how Sony remedied this. According to this Wikipedia article, Sony quickly organized internal teams to manage the loss of data on the internet. They contacted the FBI and private security from FireEye to protect Sony employees whose personal data was exposed by the hack, repair the damaged computers and infrastructure that led to the leak. But that's the thing, is like, you can't, once people's information is out there, your payment information, what can you really do about it? I don't know. They have your info. It's not about changing passwords or anything. No, they know your social security number. They know your freaking payment info. They know where you live. If they want to do something, they can. And what's funny is this Sony hack was kind of like one of the first things is like, oh yeah, that's a big hack. And so many people's information got leaked, and it's supposed to be personal. You're supposed to be able to put trust in the company that you give this information to, and it is their fault if they lose your info, unless you are specifically told that your info is being sold, I guess, which a lot of time it's being sold anyways. But when you're talking about personal data, yeah, it's supposed to be kept private, and it hasn't really gotten any better. There's been most big companies are surprisingly unsecure, and there's been tons of hackers. There's been Linus Tech Tips had a thing on it recently that talked about how Ubiquity, I think, is the security company, and you would put doorbells on your house that have cameras on them and stuff. They said they weren't reporting the data or sending the data up to the cloud. That was supposed to be one of the selling features. But when you looked down at it, it was actually sending all of this data up to the cloud and taking your personal info. And I'm pretty sure they got hacked. I might be wrong though, but there's definitely a hack involving something like that. Most big companies aren't that secure. And yeah, it ends up like that. And I'd say this is one of the worst ones. Ubiquity had tagged the info and the URL was not encrypted. Your data is really not that safe on the internet. And I think that's one of the worst controversies, that Sony got hacked and you just realized how insecure your data really is. You're supposed to be able to trust it. I get people are stealing our data or selling our data. Like, I understand that, but I'm hoping payment information and addresses and social security numbers and stuff like that aren't being leaked. Yeah, it's scary, or it's one of the worst controversies because you can't really do anything about it. You kind of feel powerless. That's how I feel about it. I'd say the last thing I want to add to this list, we kind of wrapped it up, but just as in the PC gaming community, you guys probably know Gigabyte. Sorry, my cat's here, so I'm like trying to type around her. GPUs cracking. Oh. So Gigabyte GPUs, this was another thing. The PCBs on it, I made a video on this. I actually talked about it in a stream and cut that video down. Cut that stream down into a video. And the PCBs on them, Jay's 2 Cents made a video on this, Louis Rossman did. There could be little cracks on here, and then there's a power connector in here that could break all the power going to the graphics card. And yes, this is pretty scary. And yeah, just from your cards sitting in your case, this is possibly caused by SAG, and their PCBs were a little bit weaker than the competition's PCBs. And where would Gigabyte sit on this list? Because they also didn't honor warranties. Like, some places I would say are a little bit better because they do honor warranties and stuff, and your GPU could just break. But Gigabyte attributed this issue to user error, and it was not covered by warranty as far as I can tell. There hasn't been any updates saying that they are helping people out. No, it's apparently not your fault. It apparently is your fault. Yeah, they literally just said, they literally just ghost you. And I would probably put this in scary, the Gigabyte controversy. I meant to put this on the list. I'd probably put it in scary. It's not the worst. They were pretty disrespectful to their customers. It's definitely a fault of the design of the graphics card and not the fault of the users as much. Yes, it's partially your fault if you do break it, but we didn't make the weak PCBs. So how is it actually our fault? So I think it's overall bad for consumers. And I'd probably put it in scary. Same level as Asus. It could be, well, the thing about Asus, yes, their stuff was broken, but they did honor warranties. They did miscommunicate, but they did honor warranties. They did fix it in the end. Gigabyte went to the extent to communicate, but didn't honor warranties when it's still the fault of their design. So, yeah. These are some of the worst tech controversies I could think of. And some of them are funny. Some are annoying, some are frustrating, scary, some of the worst. And then some are Activision. Just one big controversy. What's up, last boy? So yeah, we talked about everything from, I think in the funny tier, these all deserve it. Apple charging $700 for wheels for your computer. That's great. Apple taking away ports on your laptops. And this actually also includes them putting a butterfly keyboard on it. I didn't talk about it in the video, or in the stream. But yeah, butterfly keyboards as well. Kind of bad. We just want ports on our laptop, and then Apple actually backed out on that and actually did include ports later. Facebook, freaking Meta was a weird move. I think everybody knows it. They took a gamble on this, and they thought this was going to work out for them. I don't know what the hell they're thinking, bro. That was not it, Chief. That was not it. Galaxy Fold's breaking. Google just up and quitting on Stadia, the cloud gaming service. And then the PS5 with its liquid metal leaking and breaking it. But I think all these, they didn't affect people a whole lot, but it was still annoying to some degree. It wasn't as funny. We weren't really laughing at it, but it is what it is. They stand on their ground on the butterfly. I think they stopped doing butterfly keyboards. I think those are over. They went back on this design. What's funny is Apple doesn't admit like they did something wrong. They just continue and then just change it later and act like it was a new feature. Yeah, they did 3 attempts at it though. That is true. They did a lot of attempts to butter. They wanted it to work, but nah. Very frustrating, the headphone jack. It changes the way we use our phones. And why don't we have them? The excuse is that headphone jacks take up space inside the phone. But when it comes down to it, we would rather have it than not have it. I think everybody would agree on that. And if it even sacrificed a little bit of battery life or a little bit of the internals, we'd rather have a freaking headphone jack. So yeah. The Asus controversy with their motherboards blowing up CPUs. This happened kind of recently. I did a video on this as well, covering all the drama. And Asus just had a ton of miscommunication, which made them feel like garbage. And it definitely took a lot of trust away from Asus. But overall, they did fix it in the end. So can't be too mad, but definitely wasn't ideal. Overwatch 2. The biggest fumble of a gaming franchise ever. Enough said. Enough said. On the scary tier, put in the freaking Apple just slowing down their phones artificially with software updates because it saves battery life. Okay, Apple. Okay, Apple. Bruh. 8 gigabytes of VRAM releasing on brand new graphics cards in 2023. That costs $400 on the 4060 Ti. Yeah, no. That's a little tone deaf. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, the bend gate on the iPhone 6, I agree with that. That was a pretty interesting time. I said I would counter Cyberpunk. At least you don't pay for Overwatch. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I think Overwatch was bigger than Cyberpunk. I ain't gonna lie. Cyberpunk was really hyped though. Let's not to discredit the hype of it. Obviously, it was a huge letdown. That kind of dropped like how No Man's Sky did. Like, there's so many promises of amazing things, and it just was like a buggy mess at launch. But still, anime was good though. But Overwatch already had a player base. Yeah, I mean, it's just like it already had momentum, and they just like let it all go. They just didn't realize what their game was. Now the Activision Blizzard Microsoft acquisition. So people will say this is good or bad, but I think overall, this is at least scary for the community because we don't really know where it's going to go. I'm in support of it, but it doesn't, like, things could change. Don't really know. It could become a big problem. And because it's anti-competitive, and within talking about anti-competitive, Nvidia did the partner program where they basically encouraged their partners to not work with other brands at all. Because that's what's interesting about add-in board partners is they aren't exclusive to like Nvidia. They aren't exclusive to AMD, but the Nvidia partner program almost made them feel like they are exclusive to Nvidia, which is very anti-competitive. Then in the scary tier, I'm moving the Ring of Death to the worst, bruh. Yeah, because this happens so much. This happens so much. Okay. But let's keep moving on the tier list. Nintendo blocking Smash tournaments are basically most competitive things with their games, because they want their games to be basically casual games. They don't want them to be competitive. And that's fine to a degree, but don't stop people from playing your games competitively. That's what Nintendo does, is that they actually physically go out there, take legal action against tournaments for Super Smash Ultimate, and they cancel tournaments. Why? Because they're Nintendo. That's why. Thanks, Nintendo. Nobody likes Nintendo's legal team. Make some damn good games though. But in every way they are just like, ugh, grimy. Tesla autopilot. Like I want autopilot in cars to be the future, and the fact that it, like, controversies going on with it could make it not be the future would suck. Because the end goal, I think, on driving on roads is like your car would be like completely autopilot, and then each car would actually communicate with each other. Yes, it would take away freedom with driving, but at the very least, cars would communicate with each other, and then they know their position on the roads. Right now, Tesla's autopilot has to detect everything. But what if they could actually tell each other where they are? And then they could basically drive automatically and be as safe as possible because they know where all the cars are. I feel like that's like the end goal of cars, but that's probably close to 100 years out. I might not even live long enough to see that. But I miss Sega. They should make consoles again. I don't think Sega would be able to compete. That's the thing. It's kind of a reason they went out. The Sega Genesis was cool though. I ain't gonna lie. But hopefully autopilot doesn't get dragged down that much by this. That's what smart cars wanted to do in 2013. Now, in the worst tier, this is again the Nintendo issue. Nintendo is possibly thinking about doing a lawsuit against the Dolphin emulator. The Dolphin emulator does GameCube and Wii. And yeah, there's actually only one emulator, but this is like Nintendo taking a stance about emulation in general. Even though if you own the games, I don't see a reason why you can't emulate them. But they're gonna argue like it stifles competition or it stifles creativity. And Nintendo's gonna sit here and say it stifles creativity, and then they have a freaking subscription service that emulates games all the time. Like, bro, I don't think emulation should go away. In a lot of cases, it improves what the original game experience was by, you know, like mods or just upgraded graphics, textures, frame rate, all that kind of stuff. It's like kind of like a remaster of a game. But yeah, next is the Samsung Note 7 in the worst tier, because this phone was blowing up and this had the possibility of killing people. I don't think anybody died because of it, but this phone blowing up problem was so bad that they banned it from planes. It stifles their pockets. That's true. It's true. But this Note 7 problem, this is just scary, bro. It was crazy when it was going on. I remember people talking about it. And just to have this phone is pretty terrifying. And in the end, they don't make Note Galaxy Note phones anymore. Samsung. I think they stopped with the Note 20. Am I wrong on that? Maybe I'm wrong. But in general, this might have led to the death of the Samsung Note. Save states are nice too. I agree with that. This could have led to that. I'm not 100% sure. Who knows, really? The Sony lawsuit. Oh, no, I'm saying Sony lawsuit because I see a hammer. That's why. But the big old Sony hack, that was an interesting time. So many people lost their data. I don't know why I'm smiling. But yeah, it's scary and terrible because people got hurt. Because obviously you can get robbed of your money, and you could also just you lose your privacy in general, and on top of that you just lose trust in the companies. Quan says he lost his data. Yeah, just a lot of scariness with the Sony hack in 2014, and it just kind of, I think, like a wake-up call to a lot of people is like, hey, your data isn't as secure as you would think, and that sucks. That really sucks. The Xbox Red Ring of Death, probably one of the worst things in console gaming history, because like actually this was the first model of Xbox 360, and so many of them were breaking. So many freaking Xbox 360s were breaking, and like I think all my friends that had one had an Xbox 360 break on them. This was bad. This was really bad at the time. But yeah, Red Ring of Death, one of the worst tech controversies. These aren't necessarily in order, I'd say, for their tiers, but I think they all belong in the tiers that they're in. And then they also, the Gigabyte cracking GPUs thing, I put that in scary. I go there. Obviously, Activision's in its own tier. Zelda looks so much better on PC too, and it feels better. Yeah. Yeah, Technological Elite says, with the Red Ring of Death, you lost your data, lost your console, had to get a new one, which is money. That's expensive. And the fear of it happening again. And it happened many times. And it wasn't even your fault. And I know some people, most of the time it probably wasn't your fault. But I know some people did probably put like stuff and blocked the airflow on it. So one of the problems it was having was airflow and overheating and stuff that would cause it. But yeah, that's the tier list. What y'all think? If you have any other controversies to say, you can say them. Obviously, I can't add them to the tier list, but they are pretty interesting. This was quite the time. It's alright, last boy. You can rewind and stuff if you want. Tier list is heat, fire, and that's the thing, is like there's so many other things that could be on this tier list. Like there is I had other things that I took off of it, but I didn't think they quite lived up to what the tier list should be, and a lot of these are all over the place when it comes down to it. You have to have some general knowledge to even understand what the heck we're talking about. So when it comes down to it, this is some of the things I thought of. I did a community post on the channel and asked you guys what you think about. Xbox One controversies that required console to be online. Really? Is that like having like Windows? Google gets its own dedicated video. Yeah, Google has more too. Because I almost put the Google Fold on here, and I didn't end up doing it because yeah, that phone dropped really weird too, and all of the data invasive stuff that Google does, it's kind of yikers, ain't gonna lie. XTX coolers, that's true. 7900 XTX coolers, the reference ones, had overheating issues because the I'm gonna get into the full cam. They had cooling issues because the vapor chambers inside of them were drying out. So basically, vapor chambers, when they basically infuse a liquid, I think it's usually just water, but I'm not 100% sure, and that water will go over to the plate on the GPU that is like sitting on the die and cooling it, and that fluid will heat up, and then that fluid then turns into gas. Then it moves to the outside of the heat pipes, and that takes the heat away from the core, and then is able to quickly distribute it to the far end of the heat pipes, which allows more of the heat pipe to do cooling. So vapor chambers are really cool, but XTX 7900 XTX reference coolers had an issue with their vapor chambers, and it's called drying out. And that is because of however they're constructed or whatever, the gas from the liquid wasn't forming properly, and then it would not spread the heat. So the cards were heating up a lot more than they should be. So yeah, those hot spots on the GPUs are going up to 90 to 100 Celsius, obviously. And it was pretty annoying. Because other than that, the XTX was like a really solid card. And other than AMD doing their marketing stuff when they make that. So yeah. And you could even, like, there's so much just on GPUs. I could make a freaking whole tier list just on GPUs, because on top of the let's go on here actually. Bauer 4060 Ti. Because the 4060 Ti, if you guys know about GPUs, usually you have 16 PCIe lanes. So the PCIe bus is what you plug your GPU into. Usually use 16 lanes of it. But Der Bauer, and somebody said it in chat that made me think of this video. Der Bauer made a video where he was talking about how not only does the 4060 Ti only have 8 gigabytes of VRAM, which makes it really annoying. And then they sold us the 16 gigabyte one as well. But it runs on only 8 lanes of PCIe. So if you have a slower PCIe Gen 3 system, the newer ones usually have Gen 4, and the newest systems even have Gen 5. But like for me, example, I have a PCIe Gen 3 system. If I use this card just because it doesn't use all the bandwidth it should, it actually gets a disadvantage just from being on an older system. Most cards wouldn't have that issue. Most cards would use 16 lanes and it wouldn't be an issue whatsoever. But because Nvidia chose to cheap out even more, that's why it makes you think it was a 4050 Ti, even more, because they cut down on another feature. But yeah, just because Nvidia decided to do that, we ended up with another disadvantage. Rockstar IP address leak. I didn't know about that. There's also that one guy that hacked and got GTA 6 gameplay. That's another controversy. Nowadays, you don't even get the bragging right with the 40 series card. That's so true. You buy a brand new card and people don't even care. It's because it's just priced so poorly. And I want to reiterate this more in my videos. I tend to talk about a lot of the problems with the cards, but I don't talk about as much of why it's actually a problem, because it's really all the money. It's just because they cost too much. Like if this was a if this 4060 Ti was a 4050 Ti and it costed like $250, it'd be a damn good product. I don't think nobody would be complaining about it at that point in time. And last gen GPUs are the better deal. 3060 Ti's go for like $60 less than 4060 Ti's and have about 95% the performance. So just get that one. Same amount of VRAM, actually larger bus width, so it'll run better at 1440p. Just a lot of things. A lot of dumb stuff. I'm gonna wrap up the stream. You guys got anything else to say? We got done a nice tier list today. If you want a last look at it. Just some controversies. Yeah, there's no such thing as bad products, just a bad price. I think they can have a bad name too. Firestream, thank you. There's the tier list. The definitive tech drama tier list, or tech controversy tier list. Some have more effects on us than others. I have Red Dead 2. I haven't played it though. No, I didn't put the 970 having 3.5 gigabytes, 4 gigabytes of VRAM thing. No, I didn't have that. All right, y'all have a good night. Y'all have a good rest of your day. All that good stuff. And I'll see you in the next video probably, and maybe join in the next stream next Thursday probably. Peace. Bro, what was up with the milk and stuff in the stream? Like, what was up with that?